Next question is an electric dipole with a dipole moment 4 into 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb. So this is what dipole moment, here by mistake E is written, but it is P. Inclined at an angle 30 degree. So theta is equals to 30 degree with the direction of uniform electric field of magnitude 5 into 10 to the power 4 Newton per coulomb. So electric field, the magnitude of electric field is also given, that is E. Calculate the magnitude of the torque acting on the dipole. So basically P is given to us, theta is given to us, and E is given to us, and we're supposed to calculate what torque, and it is very easy to calculate because we know this thing, torque is equals to PE sin theta, where P is given, E is given, and theta is given. Simply we have to substitute the values of these terms. So finally what we can write, what is the value of P? It is 4 into 10 to the power minus 9. In place of E we have written 5 into 10 to the power 4, and in place of sin theta, sin 30 degree we can write. Okay, sin 30 we know its value, it is half. So when we will solve it, when we will simplify it, so the value of torque will be 10 to the power minus 4 Newton meter. Next question is a polythene piece rubbed with wool is found to have a negative charge of 3 into 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb. First part of the question is estimate the number of electrons transferred from which to which. Actually number of electrons we have to calculate, and we need to answer this also, that electrons are transferred from polythene to wool or from wool to polythene. Actually polythene has acquired negative charge. It means it has gained electrons. So we can say that electrons are transferred from wool to polythene. So this is one answer which we have given, that negative charge is on polythene. So electrons are transferred from wool to polythene. Now we have to calculate one more thing, that how many number of electrons are transferred. So according to quantization of charge, we know this thing, Q is equals to NE. So N we can easily calculate, so it will be Q upon E. In place of charge we can write 3 into 10 to the power minus 7, which is already given in the equation. E is constant and its value is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. So when we will simplify it, when we will solve it, finally we'll have this answer, 2 into 10 to the power 12. It means 2 into 10 to the power 12 electrons are transferred from wool to polythene when they are rubbed together. Now second part of the question is there a transfer of mass from wool to polythene? Yes, because electrons are transferred and they have mass. So how much mass is transferred? It is very simple. When you will multiply number of electrons with mass of electron, we can easily calculate it. So number of electrons we have already calculated, that is 2 into 10 to the power 12, and mass of electron we know 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31. So when we will solve it, the answer will be this, 1.8 into 10 to the power minus 18 kilogram. Okay, next question is this. Two insulated charged copper spheres A and B have their centers separated by a distance of 50 centimeter. So the distance between them is 50 centimeter. What is the mutual force of electrostatic repulsion if the charge on each of them is 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb? So distance is given, magnitude of charge is given. So we have to calculate what? Force between them, and the force will be repulsive because they have same nature. The charge is positive on both the copper spheres, so that's why force will be repulsive. So we have to calculate the magnitude of that force. So for that we can use Coulomb's law. So QA is given, QB is given, distance between them 50 centimeter is given. So when we will convert into meter, it will be 0.5 meter. According to Coulomb's law, we know this expression, F is equals to QA QB upon 4 pi epsilon naught R square. 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught is constant. Its value is 9 into 10 to the power 9. So we will substitute the values of each and every term. So in place of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, 9 into 10 to the power 9. In place of QA and QB, as both are equal, we can put the square. In place of R square, we have written this. So when we will solve it, finally the answer will be 1.52 into 10 to the power minus 2 Newton. So this is the force of repulsion which is acting between these two copper spheres. Okay, now what is the second part of the question? Second part of the question is, what is the force of repulsion if each sphere is charged double the above amount? It means if you double the magnitude of charge and the distance between them is half, and if you halve the distance between them, then what will be the change in the force of repulsion which is acting between them? So we can write, since they are talking about doubling the charge, it means the new charge will be twice of the previous charge. So the new charge will be 2 into 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 coulomb. So it will be this. So charge on QB also the same value we will get, because both are doubled and both are equal. So this will be the new charge after doubling the charge. And one more thing, they are saying that the distance between the sphere is halved. So we need to divide the distance by 2. So R will be equal to 0.25 meter. And again, to calculate the force of repulsion between the two sphere, again we will be using Coulomb's law, which says that F is equals to QA QB upon 4 pi epsilon naught R square. So now new value of charges and new value of R we will substitute. So here we are, and when we will simplify it, the answer will be 0.24336 Newton. So this is the force between the two spheres when the changes are made like this, that the charge is doubled and the distance between them is halved. Next question is, two insulated charged copper spheres A and B have their centers separated by a distance of 50 cm. So the distance between them is given. The charge on each is 6.5 into 10 to the power 7 coulomb. So again, magnitude of their charge is given. The radii of A and B are negligibly small as compared to the distance of separation. Now, second part of the question is, suppose these spheres A and B, they have identical sizes, and a third sphere of the same size but uncharged is brought in contact with the first. Now they are talking about the third sphere which is uncharged, and it is first brought in contact with the first, then brought in contact with the second sphere, and finally removed from both. So what is the new force of repulsion between A and B? Because the force will be new, because the charge will change, because now third sphere is there which is brought in contact with both these two spheres. So let's see what will be the change. So let's discuss this question, an important question. Okay. So in this they are talking about sphere A, sphere B and sphere C. Now sphere A and B, they are equally charged. So let us suppose that the charge on A and B is Q, 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 and third sphere C is uncharged, so the charge will be 0. Now what they are saying, initially this third sphere, that is C, is brought in contact with A. So when they are brought in contact with each other, this charge will divide equally. So what we can write, when A and C are brought in contact with each other, their charges, that is Q0, they will be divided equally. So it will be Q plus 0 upon 2. So now the charges on A and C will be Q by 2, Q by 2. I hope this is clear. So now charge on A is Q by 2 and charge on C is also Q by 2. Now what they are saying, after removing from A, now this sphere C is brought in contact with B. So now we have to talk about C and B. Okay, now here also the charge will be divided equally between these two. So now charge on C we have already calculated, that is Q by 2. And charge on B is how much? Q. Okay, so now what is the total charge? The total charge will be, when you will add Q by 2 plus Q, the answer will be 3Q upon 2. Now this 3Q upon 2 will be divided equally between C and B, because they are brought in contact with each other. So when you will divide 3Q by 2, finally what we will have? 3Q by 4, 3Q by 4. It means what? When C and B are brought in contact with each other, then the charges acquired by them will be 3Q by 4 and 3Q by 4. And what we are supposed to calculate, that what is the new force of repulsion between A and B? We have to talk about A and we have to talk about B. This is A, this is B. So what is the charge on A? It is Q by 2. And what is the charge on B now? It is 3Q by 4. So now they have new charges. Now we will not use Q and Q. So the charge of A will be divided by 2 and charge on B will be 3Q by 4. So I hope this is clear. So what we can write, what is Q over here? Q is, it means we can say that now charge on A is Q by 2 and charge on B is 3Q by 4. So accordingly now we can calculate the new charge on A, new charge on B, and then with the help of Coulomb's law we can easily calculate the force of repulsion between them. So finally what we can write, charge on A, that is, as it was, the value of Q is how much? 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7. But the new charge is Q by 2. So 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 divided by 2 will gives you what? 3.25 into 10 to the power minus 7. Charge on B was 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7. But now the new charge on B is 3Q by 4. So now 3 into 6.5 into 10 to the power minus 7 divided by 4 will give you which value? This value. 4.875 into 10 to the power minus 7. And now we got the new charges on these two spheres. So now it will be very easy for us to calculate the electrostatic force between them. Again we have used what? Coulomb's law, and distance is as it is. We are not changing the distance. So when you will calculate the new value of QA and QB, and in place of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught we will write 9 into 10 to the power 9. In place of R we will write 0.5, and when we will solve it, finally the answer will be 5.7 into 10 to the power minus 8 Newton. So I hope the solution of this question is clear, an important question. Okay, now the next question is this. So they have given us the diagram. Let us see that what is the question. So question is, a figure shows tracks of 3 charged particles in a uniform electrostatic field. So electric field is there and 3 particles are there, 1, 2 and 3. So what they're asking us to calculate, give the signs of the 3 charges and which particle has the highest charge to mass ratio. So they're asking us 2 questions. So first of all, it is very easy. If we talk about these 2 particles, particle 1 and particle 2, as they are moving towards this positively charged plate and they are attracted by this positively charged plate and they are repelled by the negatively charged plate. It means what? If these 2 particles are attracted by positively charged plate, it means they are negatively charged, because we know this thing, unlike charges they attract each other. So we can say that particle 1 and particle 2, they are negatively charged. And if we talk about this particle 3, it is attracted by this negatively charged plate. So it might be positively charged, that's why it is attracted towards negatively charged plate. So what we can say that this third particle is positively charged and first and second particle, they are negatively charged. Okay, now what is the second part of the equation, that which particle has maximum charge to mass ratio. Now we know this thing, charge to mass ratio is directly proportional to the displacement. And here among these 3 particles, which one is having the maximum displacement? That is particle number 3. So as it is having the maximum displacement, so we can say that the charge to mass ratio of third particle is maximum as compared to other 2. Next question is this. Okay. Question says that consider a uniform electric field E is equals to 3 into 10 to the power 3 I cap Newton per Coulomb. So this I cap denotes what? The direction of E, which is along x-axis. Okay. Now what is the flux of this field through a square of 10 centimeter on a side whose plane is parallel to the YZ plane? Okay. So we need to calculate what flux. Okay, so first we will solve the first part, then we will discuss the second part. So right now I am not reading the second part. So before that, let me draw the diagram for this particular equation. So the diagram will be like this. Suppose this is x-axis, this is y-axis, and this is z-axis. They're talking about a square, and they are saying that the plane is parallel to the YZ plane. So just to make you understand, I can make something like this. So it is a plane which is parallel to YZ plane. Okay. Now the thing is that the value of E is 3 into 10 to the power 3 I cap. So this I cap denotes the direction of the electric field which is along x-axis. So we can say that the direction of E is along x-axis. So this is the direction of E. Now if I talk about the area vector, the vector drawn normal to a plane, the vector which is perpendicular to a plane indicates the area vector. It means I can say that this will be the area vector if this plane of the square is parallel to this YZ plane. So this is the area vector. This is the direction of the area vector. This is the direction of the electric field. So what is the angle between them? If they both are in the same direction, so the angle between them will be 0. Okay, so I think now things are clear, and they're asking us to calculate what flux, and we know this thing. What is flux? Flux is EA cos theta. It is the dot product of electric field and area vector. So finally now we will discuss the solution. So according to the solution, electric field intensity is how much? 3 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per Coulomb, which is given in the question. Area we are supposed to calculate. Since side is 10 centimeter, if you will convert into meter, it will be 0.1 meter. And what will be the area? It will be square of side. So finally it will give you what? 0.01 meter square. Okay, and the thing which we have already discussed. So what they have written, the plane of the square is parallel to the YZ plane. Hence the angle between the unit vector normal to the plane and electric field is 0. So theta is equals to 0. So now flux we can easily calculate. We know the formula of flux, that is EA cos theta. E is already given. A we have calculated, theta is 0. So finally when we will solve it, what will be the flux? It will be 30 Newton meter square per Coulomb. So I think this particular part is clear, that how we can calculate the flux. Now let us read the second part of the equation. Second part of the equation is, what is the flux? Again we have to calculate the flux, but I think they will change the condition. What is the flux through the same square if the normal to its plane makes 60-degree angle with the x-axis? It means there is some inclination now. So now what they are saying, that let me draw it just to make you understand. Now they say that if this is the plane, electric field is in this direction, and just a minute, they have changed the orientation. Suppose now the plane is like this, little bit oriented. Electric field is in this direction, and now normal is in this direction, in such a way that now they both are making how much angle? 60-degree angle. Okay, so now the value of theta is how much? It is 60-degree angle. So now initially the value of theta was 0, but in second part the value of theta is how much? 60-degree. So only one change we are supposed to do. In place of theta we will write 60-degree. Again we have to calculate flux, so same formula we're gonna use. So phi is equals to EA cos theta. E will be same, A will be same, only in place of theta we will write what? 60-degree. So it will be cos 60-degree. Cos 60-degree is half. So when we will solve it, finally we will have what? 15 Newton meter square per Coulomb. So I think this question is also understood by. Next question is, careful measurement of the electric field at the surface of a black box indicates that the net outward flux through the surface of the box is 8 into 10 to the power 3 Newton meter square per Coulomb. It means flux they have given to us. The value of flux is given. What is the net charge inside the box? So we know this thing according to Gauss law. Phi is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. And if we want to calculate Q, we can write Q is equals to epsilon naught phi. Epsilon naught is constant. Its value is this. Phi is given its value is given 8 into 10 to the power 3. So when we will solve it, finally we can easily write that the Q is equals to 0.07 microcoulomb. This is the first part of the equation. Second part of the equation says that if the net outward flux through the surface of the box were 0, if the flux is 0, suppose, so could you conclude that there were no charges inside the box? Why or why not? Actually, whenever we talk about flux, we always talk about net charge. Net charge of a body could be 0, but it does not mean that the body does not have charge. It could be possible that the body has equal number of positive charge and equal number of negative charge, and that's why the net charge is 0. So that's why it is written, no, net flux piercing out through a body depends on the net charge contained in the body. If net flux is 0, then it can be inferred that net charge inside the body is 0, but the body may have equal amount of positive and negative charges. So the net charge of the body could be 0, but it does not mean that the body does not contain any charge. Okay, next question is, they have given us the diagram. Okay, question says that a point charge plus 10 microcoulomb is a distance 5 cm directly above the center of a square whose side is 10 cm as shown in the figure. Okay, fine. So this is the square whose side is 10 cm, and at this particular position one charge is there whose magnitude is 10 microcoulomb, and the distance of this charge from the center of the square is how much? 5 cm. Okay, so what they're asking us to calculate, that what is the magnitude of the electric flux through the square. And hint also they have given us, think of the square as one of the face of a cube with edge 10 cm. Actually the thing is that they have given us charge and they just want us to calculate what electric flux. Now by Gauss law we know the relation that phi is equals to Q upon epsilon naught, and whenever we talk about Gauss law we always talk about Gaussian surface. So what we can do, and as per the hint also, what they are saying, that think of the square as one of the face of a cube with edge 10 cm. So like here we can draw a cube, and we can consider that this square is one of the face of this cube. Suppose this. Okay, now what we are supposed to calculate, we need to calculate the electric flux through this face of this cube. So this cube is what? A Gaussian surface, and a Gaussian surface is there and a charge is there inside it. So we can easily use what? Gauss law, and which says that flux is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. So this is the total flux through this cube, through all the 6 faces of this cube, because there are 6 faces of the cube. So the flux through this cube will be how much? Q upon epsilon naught. But if we want to calculate the flux through only one face, how we can calculate? If we divide it by 6, so what it will give us? The flux through only one face of this cube. And if we are calculating the flux through one face of the cube, what we are calculating? The flux through this square. So the things are same only. So what we are writing over here, that the flux through one face of the cube, that is through the square, will be phi is equals to total flux divided by 6. And what is total flux? It is Q upon epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is permittivity of free space. Q is given to us. Epsilon naught is constant. Its value is this. And Q is 10 microcoulomb. 10 microcoulomb could be written like this, 10 into 10 to the power minus 6 coulomb. So what will be phi? Phi will be this. And after simplifying, after solving it, finally we'll have this value 1.88 into 10 to the power 5 Newton meter square per coulomb. So this is the electric flux through the square, or the electric flux through one face of the cube which enclosed a charge. Next question is this. A point charge of 2.0 microcoulomb, so magnitude is given to us, It is at the center of a cubic Gaussian surface 9 centimeter on edge. So they are talking about cube. This charge is placed at the center and the edge is of 9 centimeter. What is the net electric flux through the surface? And simply we have to calculate what flux. So we will be using Gauss law, which says that flux is Q upon epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is constant. Q is given, that is 2.0 microcoulomb, that is 10 to the power minus 6. So flux we can easily calculate with the help of this. So in place of Q we have written this. In place of epsilon naught we have written this. So when we will solve it, so finally we'll have phi is equals to 2.26 into 10 to the power 5 Newton meter square coulomb inverse. So this was an easy question. Next question is this. A point charge causes an electric flux, this much flux is given, to pass through a spherical Gaussian surface of 10 centimeter radius centered on the charge. So they are talking about spherical Gaussian surface and radius of that spherical Gaussian surface is given. Okay, so flux is given and radius of the Gaussian surface is given. Question is, if the radius of the Gaussian surface is double, how much flux would pass through the surface? Actually, we know this thing, that the flux totally depends upon the charge enclosed inside that body. It does not depend upon the size of the body. So even if the radius is doubled, the flux will not change. There will be no change in the flux. That's why it is written, electric flux coming out through a surface depends on the net charge enclosed inside a body. It does not depend upon the size of the body. So if the radius of the Gaussian surface is doubled, then the flux will remain as it is. So the flux will be same only, there will be no change. Okay, now second part of the equation is, what is the value of the point charge? So the thing is that they have given us the value of flux and they're asking us to calculate what the value of Q. Again we will be using Gauss law, which says that phi is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. So Q will be epsilon naught into phi. The value of epsilon naught is this. The value of phi is given in the equation. So when we will simplify it, when we will solve it, so finally we'll have this value. So I hope the solution of this question is also clear. Next question is, a conducting sphere of radius 10 centimeter has an unknown charge. So a sphere is there, a conducting sphere is there. If the electric field 20 centimeter from the center of the sphere is 1.5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per coulomb and points radially inward, what is the net charge on the sphere? Okay, fine. So net charge we are supposed to calculate. So we should have a diagram for this particular question. So the diagram will be like this. They are talking about a conducting sphere. So the sphere is like this and the charge is placed at its center, somewhere here. Fine. Fine. Okay. Not exactly at center I'm able to draw it, but you consider that it is at the center. Now what the other thing is that at 20 centimeter of distance from the center, electric field they have given. So we can consider a Gaussian surface, and that Gaussian surface will again be spherical. It will again be a spherical Gaussian surface, and the radius of this spherical Gaussian surface is how much? 20 centimeter. And somewhere here they're talking about the electric field, the value of electric field they have given. Now one more thing they have given, that the electric field is radially inward. The direction is like this. The direction is inward, with green only I'll draw. So like this. Okay, this is the direction of the electric field, that is inward. And if I talk about the area vector, the area vector will be in this direction. So we can say that here theta will be 180 degree. Okay, now we are supposed to calculate what charge. So to calculate charge we'll be using Gauss law. Now we know this thing, that phi is equals to Q upon epsilon naught according to Gauss law. In place of phi, because phi directly is not given in the equation, so we have to use one more formula of phi, which says that it is EA cos, and here angle between E and A is how much? 180 degree, is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. Is that clear? So finally we'll have what? Minus EA. What is A? Surface area of the Gaussian surface. So it will be how much? 4 pi d square is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. So finally what we can write, E is equals to minus Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught d square. So this formula is directly given in this particular solution. E is equals to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught d square, and they have ignored negative sign. So I think this explanation is given, that how directly they have written E is equals to minus Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught d square. So from here they have given that phi is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. In place of phi, EA cos theta we have written, and finally we are here. So I think this thing is clear to everyone. Let me erase it. Okay. This much is enough. So finally we are here at this particular, on this particular step. E is equals to Q upon 4 pi epsilon naught d square. Okay. Now Q we are supposed to calculate. This is E. E is 1.5 into 10 to the power 3 Newton per coulomb. By mistake they have written Q, because Q we are supposed to calculate. So this is E. D is 20 centimeter. If we will convert into meter, it will be 0.2 meter, and value of 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught is how much? It is 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton meter square coulomb inverse 2. Okay, so now we are supposed to calculate what Q. So Q we will keep on one side, and we will shift these terms onto the other side. So finally we will be here. So finally we can write Q is equals to E into 4 pi epsilon naught d square. In place of E we have substituted this value, in place of D 0.2, and in place of 4 pi epsilon naught we are supposed to write what? 1 upon 9 into 10 to the power 9. So when we will simplify it, so finally we'll have this, have 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 9 coulomb will come here, negative sign is not there. So this could be written like this, 6.67 nano coulomb. So now it is already given in the equation that electric field lines points radially inward, so the charge on this sphere is negative. So I hope the solution of this question is also clear. Next question is this. Next question is, a uniformly charged conducting sphere is 2.4 meter diameter, has a surface charge density of 80 microcoulomb per meter square. So diameter is given, or we can say that radius is given, that is 1.2 meter, and surface charge density is given. We have to calculate what charge on this sphere. Now we know this thing, what is surface charge density? Sigma is equals to Q upon A. So through that we can easily calculate. So the solution goes like this. Diameter is 2.4 meter, so radius will be 1.2 meter. Surface charge density sigma is given 80 microcoulomb per meter square. So in place of micro we can write 10 to the power minus 6. So the charge on the surface of the sphere, we can write Q is equals to surface charge density into surface area. So surface area will be 4 pi r square. So sigma is given this much. 4 as it is we have written, in place of pi 3.14, and in place of r 1.2 ka whole square. So when we will simplify it, it will be 1.447 into 10 to the power minus 3 coulomb. So this is the first part of the equation. Now the second part of the equation is, what is the total electric flux leaving the surface of the sphere? So charge we have calculated. So now flux we can easily calculate with the help of Gauss law. So because we know this thing through Gauss law, we can write flux is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. Epsilon naught is constant, its value is this, and Q we have already calculated. So phi is equals to Q upon epsilon naught. So this is the value of Q, this is the value of epsilon naught. When we will simplify it, so finally we'll have this. So phi is equals to 1.63 into 10 to the power 8, and the unit will be like this. So this is the total electric flux leaving the surface of the sphere. Okay. Next question is this. An infinite line charge produce a field this much. So field is given, that is E, the value of E is given at a distance of 2 centimeter. So the distance is given 2 centimeter. Calculate the linear charge density. Linear charge density means what? Lambda we are supposed to calculate. Now we know this thing, the electric field due to infinite line charge is how much? It is E is equals to lambda upon 2 pi epsilon naught d. This expression we have already derived. Okay, now we are supposed to calculate what? Lambda. So lambda we will keep on one side, and we will shift this term, these terms on the other side. So finally we will have this. So lambda is equals to 2 pi epsilon naught d into E. So where 2 pi epsilon naught is constant, value of d is given, that is 2 centimeters. So when you will convert it into meter, it will be 0.02 meter. Value of E is given. Simply we have to substitute the values in this particular formula. So finally we'll have what? This. So after substituting all the values, we can easily calculate lambda, and the value will be lambda is equals to 10 microcoulomb per meter.